Welcome to Secrets from a Billionaire's Matchmaker with matchmaker Gina Hendricks.
Hey there, welcome to my show. I'm Gina Hendricks. I've been a matchmaker for billionaires and the most eligible men in the world since 2008. And my God, how time flies. I had some thoughts this morning. I don't know if you guys saw my recent video where I was talking about the burned haystack approach. And I shared what I strongly that I strongly disagree with that specific advice of the burned haystack. And the reason I disagree isn't because I don't believe in standards. You guys know I absolutely do. In fact, most of you need to raise your standards. But it's because I see a lot of what's happening right now in dating as very similar to what I've seen on the men's side in terms of, those conversations that men have about the red pill. So there's just a lot of voices out there that are designed to, in my opinion, wind you up, make you suspicious, make you guarded, make you angry, and ultimately make you fearful. None of that is positive, all right, or helpful. And I understand why that resonates because many women are confused. You're getting conflicting advice, mixed signals, and a lot of noise. But coming from someone who works very closely with men, and let me tell you, 18 years doing this, it's been an eye-opening experience working as a private matchmaker for some of the most eligible men in the world. But men of all walks of life tell me everything, all right? So I hear what they say privately, and I understand how they think, and I also deeply understand you ladies, and I care about all of you, and I just want to help you do dating better. So I want to offer you a different perspective. It's what I like to call the perspective of sanity. And it's this: when in doubt, give people the benefit of the doubt, as long as it does not put you in harm's way. Because what I see happening too often is that people are rushing to label, rushing to categorize, rushing to decide who someone is before that person's actually had space to reveal themselves. And when you do that, you don't create clarity. You create distortion. You jump to conclusions too soon. Having an open mind and allowing people enough room to show you who they are over time, and it doesn't have to be a long time. Believe me, I do this with people all the time. I do it with men. I do it with women. I allow people the freedom to show me who they are. And it doesn't take me that long because the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And they'll show you, okay? And then that way, doing that, when you allow them to show you who they really are, good or bad, right? It's one of the most powerful things you can do, not just for your love life, but for your peace of mind. Because not every situation requires immediate judgment. Sometimes it just requires observation. Okay? So I wanted to open this morning with that thought. And here's the deal. This is actually the kind of conversations I love having. Real, nuanced, unfiltered perspectives that cut through the noise. And today is very much in the same spirit. So it's unpolished. It's not prepared. This is so different from the 2-hour live Zoom events that I do once a month. Maybe you guys have joined me there. This is just rapid fire Q&A with me. Okay. So I'm counting on you to bring the questions and I'll bring the answers. The only requirement is everyone participates. All right. So that being said, let's hit the ground running. Okay, I'm going to move on to Lori. Also, you guys, you'll notice that we give the men nicknames around here. Mainly we give them nicknames, not just to protect them, but because I'm going to remember if we talk more about it in the future. Like I'm going to remember the shirtless rancher or the Latin lover or the rodeo clown or the gynecologist or the widower, whatever it is. So the nicknames help me personally remember your story. So that's kind of why we do nicknames around here. And it's kind of fun. Are you with me, Lori?
I'm here, yes.
Hey,
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Gina? Thank you so much for putting this together for the ladies. It's so thoughtful.
Yes, I'm glad you're here. I've known you for years.
Yes. Well, you're amazing, inspiring. I've kind of taken a step back because I've been dating for years and I haven't gotten married. So I kind of feel a little aged out and I don't and I've been unwilling to take your advice to
I know.
Actually,
one of our podcasts, Lori, that we just edited, we've been working for the last, a month or two on this, editing past podcasts that I've done for these power hours. And it's funny because I've talked about you already in one of the podcasts. I don't know which one that we're launching, but we've done 8, so it's going to be one of these 8. Of course, I don't talk about your name or anything like that, but I tell the story of the advice I gave you that you did not take. Do you want to tell the ladies what that is? Because it is controversial.
Sure. I've never married. So I guess like when you're younger, divorce is a stigma. When you're older, being never married is a stigma. So, or maybe that might be too strong a word, but, and I tried it once with someone who ended up guessing that, well, you've never been married, have you? Anyway,
You didn't sell it. You didn't sell it.
I didn't sell it. I did,
yeah.
but it's hard. That's hard for me to,
I
it's
know.
not quite my personality. So, you know, like if it just means because I can't get my brain around like
I
starting a
know.
relationship with that. So if that's what it
I hear you.
takes, I'm like, you know, I'm out, you know, I don't think I could be in. And then I guess the other thing is my work, I interface with billionaires
Yeah.
more than some. And I mean, they're kind of, you know, they're a bit impatient and dismissive and
They're used to
not,
getting their way.
yeah. And I really don't enjoy them.
Right.
So,
So you don't have to
yeah,
be with them.
yeah. But I don't want some poor, you know, there's a wide gray in between, but I'm like, you know, just anyway, so the pool of people, anyway, I really don't know what to do about it. So I haven't put much energy into it. And
Okay. So I have some ideas for you already out of the gate, which is
okay.
a different idea. Okay. So I don't think we actually said it out loud, but I'm going to say it out loud. The advice I gave Lori, we were kind of dancing around it. We didn't say it, right? Now I know it's controversial. And could Gina Hendricks actually do it? I don't know. As a matchmaker, and I hate this. It's what I've learned from being a matchmaker. Okay. I absolutely hate it. And I kind of learned it more with Lori in a way because she is one of the most phenomenally, exceptionally beautiful women in her category. She's got a great body. I mean, she is as hot as they come. Okay. But these dang men, okay, and you know, it's not Gina Hendricks' opinion, right? It's not at all. Because I've also never been married, for those of you who've wondered. I made a choice not to date when I started this business. And my God, time flies, 18 years, and you're like, holy shit. But they judge her on not being married. And it sucks because that's what they've said. Oh, she's not been married. I don't know. I only want to date when. And you know, I try to talk sense into these men because I don't like it. Along the bottom, Eileen, there's icons. Maybe move your little mouse around. And I try to talk sense into them, just like I try to talk sense into ladies about things. I try to talk sense into the men, but people have these judgment and beliefs, and I know they're not true. Women do it to men, men do it to women. We're out there in the world, you guys, judging each other. And that's why I said in the beginning, what did I say when I first opened this thing? And I didn't even know Lori was going to show up, and I didn't know we were going to talk about this. I said, never show up with judgments. I think it's so limiting. I think the more open-minded you can be and let people show you who they are, the better. So in her circumstance, I told her, you know, because it's not, here's the thing, it's not going to, I still am dancing around it. Just say it, Gina, just say it already. I'll say it in a second. It's not going to harm anyone, right? If it's something that's never going to harm anybody, it just will affect how they see you or judge you. I don't see the harm in a little white lie, we'll call it, which would go like this. In Lori's case, she was married early in her early 20s. They were young, they were impetuous, they got married too soon, it didn't work out, and that was the end of the story. It happened when she was so young that who cares? It doesn't matter. But you know what? My God, in somebody's mind, they at least feel like you were married. Okay. And I've talked about this before. I've known women who are married to men who are incarcerated and they're divorced now, obviously. But a man does not care that you made a poor choice in a partner that was a criminal, but he cares if you've never been married. Just honestly, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. The crazy shit I hear people say and think about things, and it drives me insane. So that's why I told Lori to kind of come up with that story that I just told you. That story I made up about her is not true in terms of being married young, but I think if she could get comfortable with saying it, it would be a game changer. Now, thinking outside the box, I know you probably don't want to leave LA, Lori, but I did say I had an idea for you. I think you could clean up in somewhere like Texas or Utah, or I don't know. I'm thinking outside the box. Have you tried that at all?
I haven't. Probably there would be more of a market. I have a community here in LA. I've been here a long time.
So here's what I'm going to say. You have nothing to lose by trying it. And on Hinge, and this is why I love Hinge. On Hinge, you can move the pin all around. You can just move the neighborhood pin. So you could try it for a week in Utah. You could try it for a week in Texas or, Atlanta, or I'm going to throw this out, Mississippi. Now, don't be horrified because I know most people, when you think Mississippi, and I have family that lives in Mississippi, you think of like toothless hillbillies, with no shoes, or super racist, which I can't say they might not be that, but they're getting more progressive. But what I will say is I knew a woman. So if you ever heard me talk about the woman that got married to the guy she met on Bumble, and she was in New Orleans and he was in Atlanta, she was also cleaning up in Mississippi prior to meeting the guy in Texas. Sorry, meeting the guy in Atlanta, because she would swoop into Mississippi in an area where the women aren't as hot or keeping themselves together the way we are in LA, let's say. So the men who had money in Mississippi, and there are men everywhere who have money that are also on the dating apps, now you stand out and they're like, holy mackerel. And if you don't think, a lot of these men, if they have enough money, they'd buy a second home. If they're crazy about a woman, they would crawl across the desert. So I don't think by opening it up to Texas or Utah, you should say that you will never relocate, but I also don't think it's outside of the possibilities that they could. I have a client who recently, he was in LA and he was out of a divorce and he was trying to figure out his next move. And I've had several clients like this. They're willing to relocate for the right woman. So now he has now moved, left LA. He also has homes in Hawaii and other places, but he's now got a home in Texas, in Dallas. So for the woman that I introduced him to, and they're getting very serious and all this stuff. So I just think LA's a tough market, very tough in general, and it's ageist. And I just think you should test because you have nothing to lose. There's no downside to testing different locations. And I'm going to give you another tip. Do you know where some fabulous men are? Is in Montana, and the actual area escapes me right this. Oh wait, is it? Hold on. No, 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 no. Montana, yeah, yep, and Jackson. So, and Jackson, like Jackson Hole area.
Mm-hmm.
So do some Google,
Yeah.
Montana, Jackson Hole, okay?
All
And
right.
find out the most exclusive areas and drop that pin in there. Because I talked to a girl recently who was in my database, and my client was going to fly in to take her out. And then she, gosh, bless her heart, she just got diagnosed with like Lyme's disease or something pretty bad. Anyway, in doing the research, I found out because she left New York to move to this, what I was like, a remote place? What? No. She said, well, I've actually been really lucky. She was surrounded by billionaires, and she was one of the very few women that were like hot enough to be that they'd want to date in that area. So I say get creative. But I am going to take this a mysterious iPhone user here. I don't know whose name it is. Who's this?
Oh, this is Kathy.
Hi,
Is it
Kathy.
me?
How are you? Yep, that's you.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you picked me. Well, I have a very strange one, and this is not comfortable because it sounds braggadocious.
Okay.
I got on Match.com and I got on eHarmony about a month ago. I've been divorced for 6 months, and I have been overwhelmed with responses.
Mm-hmm.
I have been very selective in pre-qualifying. It's men who live hours away from me. And so we have this phone friendship that develops, and it's flirty and it's all that, and it's fun, and we are exchanging all kinds of not financial or anything dangerous information, but just our lives before I ever allow them to come to my town and meet me.
Uh-huh.
Well, they get here and they fall in love on the first date. And this just happened at midnight last night. That's why I saw this morning, and I thought, oh, I've got to try to talk to her.
Okay.
Because we were in my driveway at midnight, and he opened up his heart to me, and he didn't want to go drive 8 hours back home to Milwaukee without telling me how he felt. And we'd spent 2 days together. And I told him, I said, I've got another date next week with another man, and his heart was broken. And I don't know how to deal with this because now I feel like I'm breaking up with people. And this is
Let me
it's
ask
a
you a question.
horrible roller coaster.
All right, look at you, quality problem. So how old are you and how old is this latest man?
I'm 71 and he's 71.
Okay. Okay. I think, listen, I have a and that's actually another podcast I'm releasing. So I'd had this woman on as a guest on one of the shows I had done, and she talks about, dating with intention. And she just said to she dealt with this and she used to say to the men, I'm dating with intention. And that means that I'm not going to stop dating people until I know somebody is my person. And it takes time for me to get to know somebody. Because you want to go slow with them, okay? And you want to tell them just what I told you here. And then your job is not to babysit them. It's up to them to decide whether or not they want to be a man competing with the other men for your time and affection. And that's actually good because it's good to let them know that you have options and that you have boundaries and that you're not going to be rushed into anything. You never want to let them rush you into anything.
And and they're not trying to, and they're not trying to get me to reciprocate those same feelings that they say they have, but they live a long way off. They've traveled a long way to get here, and they say, oh, I didn't even think you were going to be real. I thought I was going to leave without a kidney or something.
Right.
And
That's funny. Now let me ask you a question. Are you doing FaceTime or Zooms with them ahead of time?
yes,
You are. Great. Okay, so then they should know they're not going to be
yeah, it's all fun, and they're all very charming. They're all they're kind of love bombing me, but it's all in a fun way, a fun, charming way. But then I'm a very easygoing person, and I had a good profile, and they are men who are looking for a committed relationship. And right now, I'm just wanting to have fun.
Well, and I guess
and they're all falling in love.
Well, lucky you. I think, listen, that's probably the reason, right? So it's like probably most women around your age also want to couple up, and that probably makes them run in the opposite direction. You're running in the opposite direction, so they're coming after you. You know what I mean? But I think
But it's awful. It's horrible.
Well,
I'm feeling like I'm breaking up with people all the
I know.
time.
So I think then maybe you need to focus on men who also just want to have fun and not focus on these men that are really looking to couple up.
Well, they don't act like it at first.
Well, but they're putting it in their profile or you're having a conversation. I think
Well, that's true.
even in your conversations, you should be saying, listen, and you tell them, I say this to every lady, okay? What issues, and I'll use the word issues, for lack of a better, but whatever issues are showing up with these guys, I've had women say, oh, I keep meeting men and they tell me they're certain height and I'm 5'10", I meet them and they're shorter. Okay, great. So now you're going to say something specific when you talk to them on a call. Or I have men, they don't look like their pictures. Great. Then you're going to say something. In your case, you're repeating a pattern. You're saying all the men want to rush. So now what you're going to say when you get on that first phone call with them, you're going to say, hey, I've met a lot of great men, but I just want to be honest. They seem to want to, be in a relationship really quickly, or they're looking for a relationship. If that's what you're looking for, that's not the place I'm at. And so I'm looking for men who also, just want to go out and have fun, but I'm not looking to rush into anything. And you say it right there on the phone call, and they can either decide to go with that or opt out.
That great advice. I'm not doing that soon enough. That's great advice. Thank you.
Communication is key. Hey, Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Gina. How are you doing today?
One of my favorite people. How you doing? I'm great.
Thanks.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm fresh back from Italy with a new perspective and everything. So
yes, what happened with the Italian?
I've known this Italian guy for many, many years. He was a friend of a guy I used to date, and I thought as of last maybe November there could be a little spark between us. I had been in London, we had met up there, and then I was taking my daughter to Italy, and we were going to meet up there and have dinner and everything. And I was going to sort of suss out the situation, but it turns out, so he took us out for a wonderful dinner. It was great. My daughter loved meeting him. He's a very nice, entertaining guy. And then we had a drink afterwards while she went back to the hotel, and I was able to dig a little more information. And it turns out that he had gotten back with his ex, which explains a
Ah,
lot of the vague
correct,
behavior and everything. Now
correct.
he was still willing to completely like sleep with me and everything. I had to
Well, of
shut that
course,
down. So I shut
course.
that down fast.
So usually I do find, there was years and years and years ago, way back before I was a matchmaker.
Uh-huh.
And that's what happens, ladies, when you guys are here. I will launch into my own personal stories, which makes it kind of fun in my humble opinion. But anyway, so a friend and she passed away right before COVID. It's very sad, but her voice is always in my head. Whenever I was like wondering, why isn't he calling? Why aren't I hearing from him? She would always say this. He has another shrimp on the Barbie, right?
Yeah, I
And,
agree. I mean,
and that was true
yeah.
in your case.
And I've always heard if they leave you just kind of wondering where you stand, you don't really stand anywhere with them, which
Fair
is I
enough.
think
Yep.
that's what I'm finding out. So I'm gonna open up the dating apps again. And I know we've talked about a lot of like initial questions to ask when you meet people, but do you have, and this may be dependent on, say, what I want in a relationship, but do you have like a top three initial questions that you would recommend to asking somebody when you first meet them on the dating apps?
Oh man, my gosh, you're coming in with hardballs this morning. That's good.
I know,
I
I've been
like it.
thinking, like I said, I'm serious. I'm really serious about this. And I've been thinking
Okay.
about this too.
I've been up since 5, so it's not like my brain is waking up this morning. I've been doing a lot. But anyway, for first of all, number one, you know, it is kind of an individual thing, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it depends on what's important to you. So I'll speak for me. So if I were when I do try to pre-qualify guys, I want to I'm kind of trying to look for things that tell me about their lifestyle. Would our lifestyle align? Could this be a good long-term situation, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, let's just start with the most obvious for me, animals, right? I got a
Mhm.
lot of animals. So I'm going to be asking a guy, hey, so do you have any animals? And then this is going to be weird, but this tells me a lot, right? And if he tells me, yeah, I have 2 cats and 2 dogs or whatever, right? I'm now thinking, well, God, would his cats get along with my cats? And they might not like each other. And do your dogs like other dogs? And so you've got to make it like what's at your core. For you've got kids, and is this guy
Mhm.
family oriented? Does he have kids? And then when a man tells me he has kids, you know what I always ask? I even ask women when I'm interviewing from the database. I say, so how are your kids? Are they good kids? I want to poke that, and a lot of people won't be honest, but again, this is like what I opened with today when I was saying give people the wiggle room to show you who they are. Or,
Mhm.
so I went out with a guy a year ago now. And the reason I'm talking about him is because I did what I do, which is I just started asking questions. So, he started talking about his boys, and they're like grown boys. So one would assume those boys are out of the house. But I said, oh, so are they out of the house? What are they doing for a living? Because now I want to know, are these kids good kids or what's going on? And then he
Mhm.
said, well, one was out of the house, but another is still at home. And then he said he has psychological issues, and he's been in and out of blah 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 and substance abuse and da da da. So this guy is painting a picture where for me personally, because I don't have that kind of thing going on in my life, I'm a hell no. So you see, I'm trying to ask kind of the big circle questions that are going to tell me about his lifestyle overall. Does that help? So I would want
Yeah,
to
that
find out.
definitely.
Yeah, I want to find out like what his lifestyle even looks like on the weekend. Like,
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll think about it, see what's important, like the most important things for me. I'll write them
make
down
a
so
list.
that I
Yeah.
can stay on task because it's
Yes.
easy to get distracted
Yes.
online. So I'll have it like right there in front of me and know that I'm going to stay on task and get those questions answered.
I mean, for some, if somebody's deeply religious, then they want to be asking a man if they don't have clarity on that. So, as I've taught you guys who've come through my programs and who still work with me, it's you ask certain questions when you're in the chat, but by the time you get to the phone call, and never skip the phone call, you have to say to yourself, what don't I know about this person that really matters to me? And you have to ask on that phone call before you ever get out on a date. There we go.
You
Karen.
there?
Hey,
You
Karen. Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. Hopefully,
Hello. Well, good news, bad news. I was engaged Broke it
Whoa.
off last year. I worked with you 2 years ago.
Oh, I know. I remember you.
and and had the same issue. It was a multimillionaire, and I'm retired, and he was wanting me to, put money into it. In fact, he wanted me to sell my property, and he had many properties, and I was like, no. So that it's gone. I just, I'm in a place where, yeah, I want to be taken care of,
Right.
but I don't need to be taken care of.
Right. It's more
So
the point of the matter.
right.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, that was a year ago. I'm dating here and there, but I had an instance the other day where I thought he was younger, not younger than me, but 2 years older than me, 2 to 3 years older than me. And when we were on a date, first off, I showed up, it was the shirtless man. Okay. It was a park date, and he has a nice body, but
Wait, he showed up without a shirt on?
He had his
wait,
shirt.
wait. Okay, hold on, I must stop you. Why were you meeting him at a park to begin with?
Because I met him before.
Oh,
and it was
a second
and
date?
it was a park I was familiar with. And so
Where did you go on your first date when you said you met him before?
Okay, coffee date, which I don't usually do.
You know better than that.
I made exceptions for this guy.
Why?
Because we
Why?
personality, the Briggs Meyer, we're the golden couple. Okay. And he's a retired CFO. He had a nice bio and everything. And so anyhow, second date was just walk, and I dressed nicely for a walk, as nice as you can for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled up and I saw him, and I'm like, well, yeah, he has a nice body. Yes, absolutely.
What's the question, Karen?
Okay, here's the question. I think he lied about his age. I think he's older.
Okay.
And I know you said before, if they do it in the profile and then put it down in the thing, but that didn't happen.
Right. If
and
they come clean, it's better. If they're not coming clean, that's a problem.
Yeah. The only reason I think is because we were talking about health, and he said about one of the tests that he was trying to get, it's athletic stuff.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, Karen, I don't even think age matters really, honestly, unless like somebody's still trying to have kids, and it's a kid thing, right?
So it doesn't. But in the same time, I sit there and go, the closer you are in age, and women live longer, so.
Sometimes they do though, but I find sometimes they don't. I know plenty of women that are, I hate to say this, they're starting to drop like flies. It's terrible. But you never know how long any of us are going to live. And there was a man I dated years ago, and I never really knew how old he was for sure. And I don't know. I guess you have to decide if that's the hill you want to die on, or I would have more of a problem with the fact that he asked you to go for a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Like a date without his shirt on. For me, but again, it's not for me to tell you. It's an individual thing of where your boundaries are and what you're looking for.
I'm seeing where it goes. That's where I'm at. I'm still on the app, still looking and all that stuff.
All right, Karen.
That's all I got.
Thanks for joining. All right, let's see here. Hi, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, ladies. How are you? I actually joined to share some positive news.
You're my last question of the day, and then we're done. Oh, this is Linda. I didn't realize that was you. Good morning. Linda's also one of my regular ladies. How you doing, Linda? Recognize that voice?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I have met someone.
Oh, that's huge news.
This gentleman lives almost 3 hours away. Gina is correct. They come in very interested. They will, not only send a like, but they will send a comment to you, or say something, or answer your question, or they will, try to engage you immediately. And then consistency is key. He has no issues driving the 3 hours, getting a hotel, because it's, very new in the relationship. And he's also in the midst of purchasing an airplane right now, a personal airplane. And he makes a joke and says, well, then you'll only be 20 minutes away.
Now, how did you meet him?
So we met on Bumble. His profile definitely needed help.
I help the men. I just don't have a big audience for men like I do my ladies.
However, from doing this for so long, and also I think working with with Gina, I was able to really sort through his profile. Communication is constant. Before I even arrive home, he's setting up the next date. And all of that is very important. You will know when you do meet a man who is interested and is certainly consistent and is driven and really wants to get to know you. It's not a surprise. You will know. It's obvious.
I love that you put this in. Now, is he in Florida? Just a different
He
part?
is. He
Yeah.
is in Florida. He's 3 hours north.
Uh-huh.
He found out what my favorite flower is. And he sent me, after the first date, he sent me this beautiful arrangement. And then I was away and arrived home. I was away for 10 days on business. And, the next morning when I came home, there was the delivery. And, the cards were very so happy you're home. Can't wait to see you. I mean,
Well, and that's about letting somebody show you who they are. You know what I mean? I do say,
yes.
and here, ladies, I also want to tell you a little bit about Linda. Linda's been at this for a while, but she didn't give up. That was the key here. So for some women that, I see and follow their journey, and I'm helping them through my programs and my strategies and stuff, there are those who boom, it happens right away. Okay. And they're off in love land and never hear from them again. And they're living. And then there's some women that haven't gotten it. It just hasn't stuck yet. Nothing is. So Linda is not like some newbie, that doesn't know what's up. She's dated a lot of men and she's been in the program for quite a while, but she's stuck with it because once you know the strategies and formulas and you know how to streamline and pre-qualify, like I teach, with my matchmaker method and all of that, then it just, the universe has its own time. And so you just have to kind of keep on and not change the strategies, not think, oh, well, that doesn't work. I'm gonna just stick with it. And then it'll happen. Again,
Yes.
for some, it takes longer. And so I'm glad that it's happening, but you're also being smart about it and you're doing everything right. Because I say to ladies, keep saying yes. If a guy hasn't done something hideously wrong, something where you're just like, absolutely hell no, right? If you're still just sort of like, I don't know, but he's treating me so well and I enjoy my time, just keep saying yes. Let him treat you well. And yeah, that's what you're doing.
It's important. And as long as, again, like as you said, as long as he is being, respectful and kind and consistent and intentional and and there are certainly you have to have things in common, right? That there certainly has to be commonality, but it does give it a chance. Now, normally, I will be honest, I would probably have, after the first date, would have passed on this and said, no, he seems a little this or he seems a little that. He grew up in the South and I grew up in the North, and he, city mouse, country mouse, and we don't have a lot in common. But this is a very successful man. He has, and we do have a lot. We do now, because I've allowed the time to pass and to get to know him. We do have a lot in common. So again, I just want to let everybody know that it's worth giving it a chance.
Thank you guys. So this has been fun. This is going to take us out for today. And if you ever have any questions, just email us at teamgina@ginahendricks.com. And I think we covered a lot of turf today. So hope you learned something new and you just continue to keep your standards high and keep your mind open. Those two things will get you a long way. All right. Talk to you soon.
Want to keep up with more of Gina's advice? Follow her on TikTok and Instagram at Matchmaker Gina Hendricks or visit her matchmaking website, ginahendricks.com.